I won Alex Hormozi's school games, right? And I had a mastermind with him, Sam Ovens, and a lot of the winners on school, right? And in this video, I'm literally gonna share with you everything I learned from the mastermind with Alex Hormozi. It was amazing. He dropped so much gems. It's like it was lost for words, honestly. So I'm gonna share with you everything, all the notes, everything I took, right? And yeah, get ready, buckle up, and just put into action. But yeah, won that event, and it's gonna be a great video. So make sure, like I said, take notes, take action, and let's get the ball rolling. Okay, so these are all my Hermosi notes from that event. And it's just so much. I'm gonna go in detail. I really don't have like a specific agenda in the sense gonna read everything, gonna give you what I believe that he was talking about, what he was talking about, and how can it apply to basically your business, right? So number one, he talked about like there's a trust recession in the market, right? And I honestly really, really believe that. If you're a coach, consultant, you know, he says this a lot when the sense of, I'm paraphrasing, of course, that we are like often we pay the price for bad like gurus, bad business coaches. And like, for example, like if you are starting as a coach, right, and you've like you're eager, you're ready, right, and let's say you make an ad, you're probably going to be called a scam just because you're paying the price for people that have scammed others, and now you're associate, now they look at you like you're scamming, right? So he did talk about like that there's a trust recession in the market, right? And yeah, and like basically, and you may hear me talk about like repeat myself just because, but I'm just gonna brain dump everything that I learned. So bear with me, enjoy this video, okay? So basically, he said that the way you combat the trust recession, as we call it, is you just create like a brand. You create a big name, and not a big name. You just create a name for yourself, and you just build trust with your audience. And you do that by just creating content. And I'm a big Alex Hormozi fan, and I got a chance to be able to like really like talk with him, stand. I wouldn't say sit down, but stand up and talk with him. Right? I had a lot of like I had like a good amount of time with him, like privately, and yeah, it's just a lot. And he's the same way, by the way. What you see in the videos, like that reference, like never meet your heroes. I was kind of scared, honestly. I was like, oh, what if he's like not what he is in the videos? He's the same exact way. He's a bro, and he's just all business, which I love personally, right? So you talked about the trust recession, right? And you combat that by building a brand, right? We talked about webinars, not performing well, basically, which goes into the trust recession of the market, just because it's like just so many like scammers, so many people burning people, and just like yeah, they're just underperforming because of that. Okay. And then he talked about the excuse me, the education space has a bad brand right now, which is very, very true, right? For me, like I work on an info business, like I help coaches get 10K per month, and yeah, like I can like I've never burned anybody, I've never have, right? But if when I put ads out, right, people, like I said earlier, people associate me with that because other people have done other people dirty, right? So it's like it's unfortunately the price I gotta pay. But he says that, like I said, I'm paraphrasing this part. Basically, it's like, this happens a lot in the sense of like, the market will outweigh the good will outweigh the bad over time. It's just balancing it out, right? And it just takes time because you get people to burn people, and then it slows down, and then that's what he was basically talking about. Okay. Then he said, it's like when you enter the industry, you start at negative 10, which I absolutely loved him saying that because I always assume, hey, when you start as a coach, you start at zero. No, you start at negative 10 because you're paying for damage others caused. People assume you're a scammer and you suck, which is pretty funny. Typical Hormozi said, and you suck, right? Basically, he was saying that, like, when you're starting as a coach, right, fitness coach, whatever niche, right, people have been burned more or less by your niche. So you're starting and you're like, okay, I'm ready to get the ball rolling. You have no testimonials, you have no client results, people don't know you, right? So now you're not starting at zero, you're starting at negative 10 because people think you're a scammer, that you're not going to deliver, who's this guy, and you're going to get all this hate, right? Um, so yeah, it's like you start at negative 10 and you suck, which is like a hard thing, but like you combat that by literally like typical Hormozi, you just contact that by just being consistent. Okay. The next thing is like you have to prove that you're good, which is typical. Like you just have to prove over time, right? You have to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. And the solution to like a lot of your troubles is just to build a brand, and you do that by like producing content. That's all it is, right? And it sounds very simple, right? Like for example, with me, like my business has grown so much this past year, and I even forgot the basics. Like I wasn't posting enough. I wasn't posting consistently enough, which we're gonna get into how much content he posts a week, right? Which is crazy, right? Excuse me. The next thing is like, use your content to create trust and authority, right? Like building trust with your audience is like the best thing you could do right now. And especially in today's society, like if you get your audience just to, you show up every day and you're just providing value, like insane value, and then you're just, and they're just trusting you, they're going to, buy whatever it is you sell, right? That's my hypothesis for that. Okay. He also talked about like what's his thought process behind like Instagram, YouTube, right? He said like short form videos, like IG reels, like he uses that just to create awareness, like awareness to the product, awareness to his service, like awareness to his maybe another YouTube video. Like basically, he just uses it as awareness. Okay, his long form videos like YouTube, like it's just all depth and conversations, which typically for me it's like I love YouTube. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love using it. And like Sam Ovens called YouTube concept porn, which is pretty like, if you're watching this, Sam, it's like stuck in my head because of you. Um, but yeah, he literally like, he looks at YouTube, like depth and conversations. Okay. A direct response, like cold outreach isn't hitting like before, right? It's like less responsive. And typically, in my opinion, it has to do with the trust recession in the market because there's just so many people promising the road, excuse me, and not delivering. Okay. But this is normal. There you go. The market eventually filters out the scammers. It does, right? Being talented and good will always win long term. So if you're good at what you do, and I'm sorry, if you're talented and you're just good at what you do, you will win because you're gonna have a better product and you're gonna, persevering. These are my beliefs, and you're just gonna crush it, right? One of Hormozi's biggest beliefs: make it better and make it free. That's literally what he thought about his YouTube videos, his Instagram. Like, make it better and make it free. That's basically what it is, and the stuff that like he has done in his YouTube content, where it's like I've invested a lot of money in courses throughout my years, and I can tell you that his YouTube videos are like a lot better than a lot of the stuff that I invested in, and it's amazing, right? And that's why he uses like lead magnets to build trust. And I told him, I was like, dude, I remember watching Hormozi videos when his intros were, I have nothing to sell you. Those were his intros before. For those of you guys that have been maybe watching it for as long as I had, like, because he literally was like, I have nothing to sell you. And then he had to change it because people got all dumb because he had like he was selling his first book, which was $100 million offers. And he was, people are like, oh, well, it's a charge. And he's like, bro, I can only charge it as low as it lets me. It doesn't let me give it for free. So I thought that was pretty funny. Okay. A great product will always find great distribution. Like, cannot pronounce that for some reason, but you get the word, right? Focus on your product, right? Which I'm a big believer that's like, I just want to, for me personally, like for my coaches, I just want to build a great product. That's it. Like, I learned this too from Sam Ovens' videos. So Sam Ovens, as he calls it, concept porn. I just like really, really want to focus on building a good product, because if you have a really, really good product, right, and if you have a great product and you're just consistent with your marketing, if someone can come out and be flashier and get some clients, get more people, then you may beat you temporarily. But if they don't have a good product, like you will knock them out. And I'm telling you, because I've seen it and I've done it. Okay. And I love this part. He says social media has shifted from conversation-based to interest-based. He says it's no longer social media, it's interest-based. If you look at them, I don't know if you heard that. I don't know, that's gust of wind coming right now. He was talking about the fact that when you're utilizing Instagram, for example, right? It's like now if you look at your algorithm, it's all interest. It's not really built for conversations anymore. They just want to keep you on the platform, right? So the more you can play into that, the more likelihood you're going to get clients, right? The algorithm finds people who are already interested. Okay, your content is now your targeting, right? Let me read that again. The algorithm finds people who are already interested in your service, right? Your content is now the targeting, right? So he was talking about when he's creating content, right? The algorithm does a great job. AI does a great job at trying to find people, right? Because they have an asset that they want you to basically, like, my beliefs is this is mine. Like, he didn't say this, right? But when it comes to like your ads or like, content, like Instagram is all about like optimizing it for the user, right? So they want to keep people on the platform. So the more they can, find people that like your videos, the more likelihood that you're going to spend money on ads. You're going to stay on the platform. People are going to watch your videos. It's like a compounding thing, right? So you want to make sure your content is specifically niche. And this is what he was talking about now, is your content is specifically niched to like who you're talking to. So if you're helping plumbers, for example, your content should be the targeting. Your filter should be, hey plumbers, or hey trainers, hey coaches, hey this, hey that. That is what you need to be, okay? Be ultra specific with your niche, which I've always believed. It's like a lot of coaches are not specific enough, right? They don't speak intangibles. They don't speak of what you've seen, felt, and heard, whatever it is, right? And they're not specific, and that's why they're just spinning their wheels. You need to be specific on your niche, right? The clearer your content, the better. Speak in tangible, simple terms. Like, I'm paraphrasing him right now, but he basically was saying that he's like, yeah, he only speaks in like what's tangible, what can be seen, what can be heard. Like that's all he speaks in fifth grade reading level, which stuff that he said in his YouTube videos, right? Like, excuse me, and which I absolutely love. Like the clearer you are, the better, right? Because I'm a big believer that the more clear you are with your content, the just the better. Okay, so then he talked about like environment matters. Okay, where you work, who you're around, how you record, all affect your performance, right? So like for example, like when you record content, he was saying something. I'm trying to exactly remember that there's a certain piece of content, even if it's crushing, but he just genuinely does not like recording it, he will not do it. He's like, I do not want to do it, which I thought that was very, very interesting, right? But basically, like making your like right now, my office like is optimized to keep me in here and to keep me working, right? If I have a PlayStation right here, if I have a TV here, then I'm not gonna want to record, right? I have my camera right there, I can just hit record and start recording me, right? So your environment on where you what type on where you create content really matters, okay? Like make content you enjoy, which is self-explanatory, okay? Like I said, be niche specific, be you, stay consistent. Like be you had a very highlight. I was like, use like just be you on content. You don't need to be a fraud. You don't need to be something that you're not, because if you're not being yourself, you're not being authentic, right? If you love what you're doing and stay real, you'll win. Very, very simple. And I found the trap too and I've seen coaches too, and people that just create content, they're not them. They're just doing senseless content for attention, and it's not them, and they're kind of a fraud, right? A strong brand is what's working right now. If you have a strong brand, if you're showing up every day on social media and you're just making your name, and it's going to compound so much over time. I cannot tell you, okay? Direct response crushes. And it's like when you message people and they message you, it crushes when it's to people that you've already given value to, right? Like he can come out with a video and say, hey, DM me this keyword for this. A bunch of people will do it. But that's because he's built so much trust. And that's something that I hope to do eventually with my audience, is like create content, right? Build so much trust with my audience. And then when I tell them to do something, they do it, right? So it's like basically like give value to your audience, okay? Make the world your audience, like Arnold and Tony. Arnold, like I was talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was gonna say Arnold Palmer, for example. I guess I want one. Hey, and Tony Robbins. Okay, so basically his analogy was like, they've built such a big brand that the world is their audience, which was a fire quote, right? I absolutely love that, right? So it's like you want to make the world your audience. You want to like be specific, right? Build a brand and then be known everywhere, right? He talked about his ads, right? They started as organic content that did well. Basically, a lot of them are just good organic content that did really well. And then he put like a CTA, or they already had a CTA, right? Being consistent wins, right? He also talked about like turn your best performing content to ads. So whatever performed well organically boosted, like, running ads, right? He says obviously has a whole ad team, which obviously I understand because he's such a big name now. It's like impossible for him to run all his ads, to do all his content, right? But a lot of his best performing content is just content that did really well organically, right? We talked about the powerful hook, right? So like when you create a YouTube video, when you create an Instagram, like spending, excuse me, spending all that time, not all the time, but spending, like he talked about he talks about this a lot, your advertisement dollar, like 80% of your advertisement dollar should go to the hook, which is the intro of the video, right? It's all about trial rules at the time of this one, right? Trial rules are really good. Like they get pushed out to non-followers. Where Sam Evans was all like, what are you, like basically his face was like, what are you talking about trial rules? I've never used trial rules. So I'm gonna implement that. Very classic Hormozi, proof over promise, like always show clients results, which is right. Document every single client win. So whenever you are working with a client, whatever it is that your market is, like document their journey, document their wins, right? If you want to convert through content, right? Be authentic, show up often, and be you in your marketing, right? Just be you, right? Talk about long form, 99% value. If you're great at what you do, talk about it. Focus a lot. This is most to myself. Focus more on YouTube. He didn't say that. For me, I'm like focus more on YouTube. And talk about the Instagram Shorts, awareness campaigns, how to build influence, which is very, very great. Status, control, resource people want, power, clear instructions, proof and credibility, and likeness. This is like the 4 steps to build influence. Status, you control resource people want, power, clear instructions, proof, and likeness. Like, and they talked about 2, which is pretty cool. Like websites aren't the focus anymore. Like Sam Evans said this. Websites are not really the focus anymore. It's like social media is like new website. Like Instagram is your new website. So yeah, and then do high volume to acquire skills. And at the end of the day, just do more. And this is like a picture with me and Hormozi, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely amazing day. I was so happy I got to meet him. Someone that has such a big impact in my entrepreneur journey. And yeah, these are like my Hormozi notes. There's a lot more that I could list on this video. Would be so long. And I leave you with this, right? Like I asked him, I was like, hey, how much content do you produce all of all platforms? And he's like, I produce about 450 videos, not videos. He said, I produce 450 pieces of content throughout all my platforms. And here I am posting 2 times a week, maybe. Yeah. It's like something just like you're just not doing enough. And like my thing that I learned at this event, right, is like it's a lot of the stuff that he was saying was stuff. Yeah, there was a few gems that I didn't have heard him say, but there was a lot of stuff that he said in his videos that I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff that he said at the event that I've heard through his videos. But I like that I got a reminder and I got a full on push that I gotta be doing more. And I was able to thank him for all the his videos keeping me in because I've been watching his content when I was just a personal trainer. So wanted to make this share these notes with you. Feel free to go ahead and kind of screenshot. I'm gonna kind of go over here. And yeah, and there's just a lot of great stuff in here. And yeah, hope you enjoy this video. And I hope that if you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, hope you crush it. And I will talk to you later. Peace out.